Welcome to this week's edition of Rugby Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jan de Koning, and as usual with me, Eugene Eloff. Loffie, welcome.
Hi, Jan. Thanks very much. And today is a very special edition because we also have one of my good friends on with us. I think it is such a practical discussion we're going to have today. As maybe just give you some background on Doc Pierre. We actually met by coincidence on a flight to support the Springboks, and we've been friends ever since. But the great part of it is we worked together with the Junior Springboks and we're privileged to win 2 World Cups together. And we've stayed friends ever since. And with all the schools rugby on now, and a lot of questions have been asked about professionalism, and which is very valid. I thought it's time that to speak to Doc, as he is a specialist in terms of serious catastrophic injuries, concussions, so on. So, Docky, welcome on our show, and the floor is going to be yours. And to me, the big worry is all the rugby, what impact it has on these kids.
Yeah, thank you, Loffie, and thank you, Jan, also for the invitation. It's always a privilege to share some knowledge to parents and players out there. And it will also be good if there's a few coaches. As Loffie mentioned, I think I just before I get to the answer, it's just that we shared many experiences in actually high performance rugby, because that under 19 competition, under 20 competition is really high level, and there we actually train ourselves and look into how can we prevent and how can we detain the low to be to perform at the highest level, but also to perform at the highest level, but also to prevent injuries. And I think these days, Loffie, I will add up, it's not just injuries, it's also the mental health and of these players, which impact directly to their health and well-being. Their performance at school level in the academic side is closely related to that. So yes, I think I was just following over the Easter weekend and some of the schools and the amount of rugby that they play. So I think if one look at that, just per se, that is overload. I mean, it's impossible to play that amount of rugby on that level without running into injuries. And what we've seen in some of the teams is the first thing is a dropping of performance. So that is definitely there. I have no doubt that the schools has really put a lot of effort in the preparation of the players. Lots of the schools has got really scientific programs, so the players are well prepared. So on the one thing, it's a good thing. On the other side, one must also take into account that with this well-conditioned players, they propelled into each other with much higher impact than maybe in our times. And now you have this rapid games following each other in a day, 2 days rest. So there's a lot of factors that one can take into account. Personally, I think it's the timing of the games, the amount of rugby that's been played, and I think that the other thing is there's no time for the growing athlete to recover. So that would be, as intro, would be my summary, Loffie.
Okay, yeah, you're spot on there. And I mean, we're in that environment, and I can also understand the school's position, because if they don't upgrade, they're going to fall behind. And it's shown now with Stellenberg. But to me, I'm just getting worried, is the tail not wagging the dog? Has the commercial side of rugby, not like in professional rugby, also taken off at schools rugby, how much money they can make? So this, guys, if you take it, let's quickly summarize. The guys finish their standard 9 and matric exams, and they go out of school. So that under 9s, under grade 11s go to 12, and they go on a tour. They back Christmas and New Year with the New Year. January already, they're starting with pre-season. In February, at the end, they're already starting with the games, right? Then we go into this past Naviak matches, which is north-south. From there, some of the schools go to the other festivals like St. John's and so on. From there, they're back to the schools immediately back. They're in a tough competition again. And from here, they go to Wilde Klaver. And by then already, they've started with the trials for the Craven Week size. And then it's Craven Week. Then it's SA School. So it's a lot of rugby. Yes, we love to see it. But you know what? Docky, and you touched it. Besides the physical side of it, these guys, it's like a professional unit. They are well conditioned. I'm more worried about their mental health and also their mental fatigue.
Lofty, I cannot agree more. And I just want to touch on the professionalism. I was just thinking, watching all these matches, and you can imagine a marketing guy from a school and a sponsor to a school will say, listen, I will give you X amount, but you must play in this and this and this, because it's all television exposure and all of that. So that's, I think, where I agree with you, where I think we start losing the plot of just pure healthy competition. So that is the one thing. Just what I see in my practice. So as you know, I still do a weekly specialist practice at the Stellenbosch Academy of Sport, where I mainly treated schoolboys with and professional players with concussion, and just from a concussion point of view. When I see these players, to reintroduce them into an academic program, it's easier to introduce them back into physical activity, but to get them back, their sleeping pattern, and all of that. I mean, we know what impact just quality sleep can have on your immune system and the protection of players and the protection of injuries and illnesses. So now this is under pressure with these matches as it is. So your risk for injuries, which normally would not happen, is much higher in these athletes. So and I see that when I see these concussed players, the pressure is always, the protocol said 3 weeks. But you see these kids that end up with second and third concussions, which put them in a high risk. Wanting to perform in all these matches, wanting to play in all these matches because of the stakes. So I think somewhere there needs to be someone that put this to reality. And I think, Jan, thank you for the opportunity to speak to this, because we don't always have the platform. But that would be my take on that.
Yeah, Doc, I appreciate what you said about the concussion situation. I mean, I've had personal experience with my son. I think the child itself, because it's that status of playing for the first team, for the under 13, it starts at under 13 already. You must remember, we're talking about high school first teams. This starts at under 13 already. So trying to get into the under 13 A team, having a concussion and then having to sit, or having a flu and then having to sit out. These kids don't want to do that, because they want to be back in that team. That's still in school. And then they get to matric. Now, 5 years they build up to matric, and they will play themselves in it. And that perhaps is that linked to the, and you probably will know better, but is that linked to the high occurrences of players who do not play after school?
Jan, you are on the spot, and that is what we see. These constant overload. I mean, just to speak about overload and overtraining and the syndrome that results, the effect on the mental health is a podcast on its own, and that is what we see in clinical practice is really fatigued players. I just want to make one short comment before Lofi reacts, is that. The one thing for me at the moment is the nicest to have sons of parents that played rugby on a high level. Usually their approach is take your time, because they have first-hand experience 10, 15 years ago, where they were driven to play all these matches. So that's the nicest patience to have. But anyhow, Lofi, I give over to you.
That's so true. That's the next generation. And again, when I go back to the schools, the headmasters, the boards, the alumni, whatever they are, I think we must be more wise. And why I'm saying that is there's nothing wrong to want to be the number one school to be number one, to be the best, to win. But my question is, at what cost? And I wrote an article, Jana, you'll recall a few years ago about when a concussed boy was put back on the field after he was actually out. And I just asked, will the coaches and these guys, will they put their own kids on? No. But why put someone else's kid on? So there are 2 words that come through, and I'm still mentoring schoolboys and some students and so on. 2 words that I pick up. The one is the pressure of performance, which, Doc, and you'll understand this, the player will not go tell the coach when he's got a bit of a flu, when he's feeling down, feeling ill. He will not, because he's afraid he gets dropped. And then the second one is the fear of failure because of that negative pressure. Guys, pressure, you have pressures from the day you're born, you're under pressure, till you die, you're under pressure.
Yes.
But it's what you do with that pressure. And I think we've got the tools, and us as coaches and leaders need to be, we cannot be penny wise and pound foolish. We are talking about lives here, and we need to manage it well. And I'll go as far, Docky, to say that Saru must stand is right. Like they've done with the box, you can play so much matches. I know they don't have control over it. So much matches, so much tours, or such a break. And Doc, the last thing I want to say, you said the most important thing earlier, that a lot of rugby players or people don't believe in sleep, because that's when you recover. So if you don't sleep, you don't recover. And I've had that at a highest level rugby player that was not performing, and we could determine eventually that his sleeping pattern was broken because of the pressure he was feeling of there was a next player coming, he's going to lose his job at the Springboks. So, guys, I think this is a very, very important discussion we're having, and I hope the right people can listen to it to understand that we don't want to break down what there is, but we need to be smarter. We're working with young boys. There should be balance in life. They don't even have time to visit their girlfriends anymore because it's training and training and training, and mostly academically, does academics. When do they do homework? So yeah, I still love. We are so blessed in our country with the best school rugby in the world, and I've seen a lot of coaches put in a lot of hours and schools putting a lot of effort and money into it. But we need to be wise.
Yeah. Doc, I think one thing we need to, there's another aspect to this, the mental health side, which we need to explore. So I want to ask if you quite comfortable, then maybe we carry on this discussion next week, and we explore it further, and maybe come up with some solutions, or what is the advice you give it, and then our viewers can tell us what it is that they'd like to know from you. Maybe they can put in the comments what it is they think, the questions that we need to ask coaches, and then we'll explore it further next week if you're available.
I will be available, and it's really a privilege, Jan, to share the knowledge with your viewers. That's really a privilege.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll make sure that we invite you back next week, and we'll have another one, and we can maybe make it a series. Maybe we start inviting some coaches so that we have this debate, and because we love sports, rugby. I played rugby at school. My son played. Everybody's children plays, and we all love it. And I mean, I know what concussion is like, and you get up and you have no clue where you are. And then afterwards, like you said, maybe the guy goes. So I think there is a discussion to have. So we'll leave that one for next week, Doc. And thank you very much for coming along. And I'll definitely hand you for next week's discussion. And Lofi, bye, donkey. Thanks very much.
No, thanks.
Thank you, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Me and the Doc are very long overdue for a glass of wine. I think Rebecca Steele or Jan Paul.
Yeah.
And this weekend it's a big weekend in Paul with him playing Grey, but it's going to be interesting because it's going to rain. Docky, thanks for your insight, né? Lekker om jou te sien, and let's catch up again.
Thank you, Eugene. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Till next week. Cheers.